Hello to all fans of Naruto Lemon. I will post all Naruto Lemon Yaoi, Yuri, or Naruko Lemon stories only on the Boosty channel because Uncle YouTube condemns this. Therefore, I invite everyone who wants Naruto Lemon content to my Boosty channel. Good luck.
お前はどこまで見えている俺の死に様か
What if Naruko is Kankuro's wife? My story. Chapter 1, A New Beginning. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the golden sands of Sunagakure. The once bustling streets of the village had quieted down as the day drew to a close, leaving behind a tranquil stillness that only the desert could provide. For many, it was a time of relaxation, but for Naruko Uzumaki and her husband, Kankuro, it was a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought them back home. Naruko, now 19, had grown into a confident, formidable kunoichi. Her fiery red hair, reminiscent of her late mother, and her bright blue eyes were a stark contrast to the harsh, sandy landscape of Suna. She walked beside Kankuro, who had taken off his customary headpiece, revealing his tousled brown hair. At 21, Kankuro had matured into a respected puppet master, his skills with his puppets unparalleled in the land of wind. As they approached the village gates, Naruko glanced at her husband, her eyes softening. Kankuro's usual stoic expression was marred by fatigue, a clear sign of the many missions he had undertaken. She reached out, squeezing his hand. "We're finally home," she said softly. Kankuro turned to her, a faint smile touching his lips. "It's good to be back. The village has missed you." Naruko's smile widened. "I missed it too. And I missed you." Their homecoming was a mixed blessing. While they were grateful to be back, the responsibilities that awaited them in Suna loomed large. Kankuro was expected to resume his duties as a high-ranking member of the Sand Village's military, while Naruko's role as a diplomatic envoy and protector of the village would soon demand her full attention. The evening was spent settling in, their home filled with the sounds of unpacking and the occasional laugh shared between the couple. As night fell, they found themselves on the rooftop of their modest residence, overlooking the village, bathed in the soft light of the moon. Kankuro leaned against the railing, looking out over the horizon. "Sometimes, I wonder if we'll ever have a chance to just be normal. The village always needs something." Naruko joined him at the railing, her hand resting on his shoulder. "We have each other, and that's what matters. We'll face whatever comes together." Their quiet moment was interrupted by a familiar, gruff voice. "Are you two planning to stay out here all night?" The voice belonged to Kurama, the nine-tails fox sealed within Naruko. Although he was a formidable entity, he had grown more amiable over time, his interactions with Naruko marked by a blend of wisdom and reluctant affection. Naruko smirked. "Kurama, it's nice to see you too." Kurama materialized beside them, his massive form shimmering in the moonlight. "You two lovebirds have a lot to catch up on, but don't forget that the world doesn't stop just because you're enjoying a moment." Kankuro raised an eyebrow. "And what do you suggest, Kurama?" Kurama's eyes glowed softly. "There's a lot of unrest brewing. Some of it is directly related to your recent mission. I suggest you both stay alert." Naruko's expression grew serious. "We will. But we need to take care of ourselves too." Kurama nodded, a rare gesture of approval. "Good. Remember, while your relationship is a source of strength, it also needs nurturing. Don't let the pressures of your roles drive a wedge between you." Kankuro placed a reassuring hand on Naruko's back. "We'll keep that in mind." As Kurama faded from view, the couple remained on the rooftop, their minds racing with the implications of his words. The balance between duty and personal life was delicate, and they both understood the importance of maintaining it. Later that night, as they lay in bed, Naruko nestled close to Kankuro. The room was dimly lit by a single lantern, casting a warm glow over their faces. Kankuro's fingers traced patterns on Naruko's arm, his touch gentle and reassuring. "Do you ever think about what the future holds?" Naruko asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Kankuro's gaze softened as he looked at her. I think about it all the time. I want us to be happy, to have a future where we're not constantly fighting or dealing with crises. Naruko's eyes glistened with emotion. Me too. Sometimes, it feels like everything is against us. But then I remember moments like this, and it makes everything worth it. Kankuro's lips curved into a tender smile. We'll face whatever comes our way. Together. He leaned in, capturing her lips in a gentle kiss. It was a kiss filled with promise, love, and the unspoken hope that they could weather any storm as long as they were united. The kiss deepened, becoming more passionate, but it was always tempered by the tenderness that defined their relationship. They held each other close, their hearts beating in unison, finding solace in their love amidst the uncertainties of their lives. As they eventually drifted to sleep, their thoughts were filled with the future and the challenges they would face together. The peaceful night was a fleeting respite from the trials that awaited them, but it was also a reminder of the strength they drew from each other. In the quiet of their home, with the sands of Suna stretching out before them, Naruko and Kankuro embraced the new beginning that awaited them. Their love was a beacon of hope in a world fraught with danger and uncertainty, and they were ready to face whatever the future held. Chapter 2: The Puppet Master's Struggle. The village of Sunagakure buzzed with activity as the sun reached its zenith. The heat of the desert sun was relentless, casting a shimmering haze over the bustling streets. The clamor of merchants, the chatter of villagers, and the distant sounds of children playing created a vibrant tapestry of life in the heart of the sand village. Naruko Uzumaki, now 19, walked through the streets with a sense of purpose. Her red hair was tied back in a practical ponytail, and her blue eyes scanned the surroundings with a mix of curiosity and vigilance. Despite the warmth of the sun, her demeanor was cool and composed. As she approached the main administrative building, her thoughts were focused on her husband, Kankuro, and the growing strain she sensed in their relationship. Kankuro, 21, had taken on an increasing amount of responsibility in his role as one of Suna's key military leaders. His dedication was unwavering, but the pressure of his duties was taking a toll on him. Naruko had noticed the changes, the long hours, the stress etched into his features, and the growing distance between them. It was a struggle she understood all too well, given her own demanding role as a diplomatic envoy and protector of the village. Naruko entered the building, greeted by the familiar cool air of the air-conditioned interior. She found Kankuro in his office, surrounded by scrolls, maps, and reports. The room was cluttered with the tools of his trade, and Kankuro was hunched over a desk, his focus entirely on the documents before him. "Hey, Kankuro," Naruko said gently as she approached him. Kankuro looked up, his dark eyes tired but warm. "Naruko. I didn't expect you to come by today. I thought I'd see how you're holding up," she replied, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You've been working non-stop. Is everything okay?" Kankuro sighed and leaned back in his chair, rubbing his eyes. "There's a lot on my plate. We've had to deal with some internal issues and," he paused, glancing at the papers spread out before him. "There's a looming threat from the neighboring countries. It's been overwhelming." Naruko's concern deepened. She could see the strain in his posture and the shadows beneath his eyes. "I know you're doing your best, but you need to take care of yourself too. You can't help the village if you're running on empty." Kankuro gave her a tired smile. "I appreciate your concern, but there's so much at stake. If I don't handle these issues, the village could suffer." Naruko's expression softened as she took a seat next to him. "I understand that, but you're not alone in this. We're a team, remember? You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders." Kankuro's smile widened, though it was tinged with sadness. "I just don't want to let anyone down. Especially not you." Naruko's heart ached at his words. She reached out and took his hand in hers, her touch gentle and reassuring. "You won't let anyone down. We'll get through this together." The door to the office creaked open, and a young aide entered, carrying a new batch of documents. Kankuro took the papers from the aide with a nod of thanks, but his focus remained on Naruko. "Why don't we take a break?" Naruko suggested. "I can help with these," and then we can have dinner together. It's been a while since we had a moment to ourselves. Kankuro hesitated, glancing at the papers. I don't want to add to your workload. Naruko shook her head firmly. It's not a problem. We'll get through this together. Let me help. With a resigned sigh, Kankuro agreed. He stood up and stretched, his muscles protesting after hours of sitting. Naruko took the opportunity to organize the documents while Kankuro gathered his things. As they left the building, Naruko noticed how the weight seemed to lift off Kankuro's shoulders. They walked side by side through the village, the evening sun casting long shadows on the sand. The streets were quieter now, with fewer people out and about. They stopped at a small, cozy restaurant known for its excellent local cuisine. The atmosphere was warm and inviting, a stark contrast to the stress of the office. They found a table near the window, and Naruko ordered their favorite dishes. While they waited for their food, Kankuro looked more relaxed. He watched Naruko with a look of appreciation. Thanks for pushing me to take a break. I didn't realize how much I needed it. Naruko smiled, reaching across the table to take his hand. It's important to make time for each other, especially with everything going on. Their conversation shifted to lighter topics as they enjoyed their meal. The stress of the day seemed to melt away with each shared laugh and affectionate glance. For a brief moment, it felt like they were simply two people enjoying a peaceful evening together. After dinner, they walked back to their home, the cool evening breeze a welcome relief from the heat of the day. As they approached their house, Kankuro stopped and pulled Naruko into a gentle embrace. I've been thinking, he said softly, about how much you mean to me. Even with everything happening, you always manage to bring me back to what's important. Naruko looked up at him, her eyes filled with warmth. You mean everything to me too. We're a team, Kankuro. We'll face whatever comes our way. Kankuro's gaze softened as he leaned in, capturing her lips in a tender kiss. The kiss deepened, filled with the love and passion that had sustained their relationship through trials and tribulations. It was a reminder of their bond, a promise that no matter how challenging things became, they would face them together. As they entered their home, the familiar surroundings provided a sense of comfort and stability. Naruko helped Kankuro with his remaining work, her presence a calming influence on him. They worked side by side, their movements synchronized and efficient. Late into the night, as they finished up their tasks and prepared for bed, Kankuro turned to Naruko with a grateful smile. I don't know what I'd do without you. Naruko returned his smile, her eyes shining with affection. You don't have to worry about that. We're in this together, always. As they lay in bed, the night filled with the soft sounds of the desert outside, Naruko and Kankuro found solace in each other's presence. Their love was a steady anchor in a world of uncertainties, and they took comfort in the knowledge that they could face any challenge as long as they were together. The warmth of their embrace, the whispered words of love, and the gentle touch of their hands were a testament to the strength of their bond. As they drifted off to sleep, their hearts were filled with hope and the promise of a brighter future. Chapter 3, Kurama's Wisdom. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over Sunagakure. The cool evening air was a welcome relief from the day's heat. Naruko Uzumaki walked through the streets of the village, her thoughts preoccupied with the complexities of her life. Despite her warm relationship with Kankuro, the stress of their roles and the looming threats on the horizon weighed heavily on her. Naruko's path led her to a secluded area of the village, where an old, sturdy tree stood as a sentinel of time. This was her favorite spot to clear her mind and seek solace. She approached the tree, feeling its rough bark against her fingers as she leaned against it, her thoughts drifting to her recent struggles with balancing her duties and her relationship with Kankuro. As if summoned by her thoughts, a familiar voice rumbled from within her. You're brooding again, aren't you? Naruko closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Kurama, I didn't expect you to show up right now. Kurama's massive, spectral form emerged from the shadows, his red eyes glowing softly. I can sense your emotional turmoil. It's hard for me to ignore. Naruko sighed and looked up at him. It's just, things have been difficult lately. Kankuro is so consumed by his duties that we barely have time for each other. I'm trying to be supportive, but it's exhausting. Kurama's eyes softened, a rare display of empathy for the Nine Tails. It's understandable. Balancing personal life with responsibilities is never easy, especially when those responsibilities involve the safety and well-being of an entire village. Naruko nodded. I know, but I feel like I'm losing touch with him. I want to support him, but I also need to take care of myself. Sometimes it feels like there's no room for both. Kurama's gaze grew thoughtful. Relationships, like anything worth having, require effort and understanding from both sides. It's not just about being there for each other physically but also emotionally and mentally. Naruko's expression grew more contemplative. What do you suggest I do? How can I find that balance? Kurama moved closer, his presence providing a comforting aura. First, you need to acknowledge your own needs. It's important to communicate openly with Kankuro about how you're feeling. He might be so caught up in his responsibilities that he's unaware of how much the situation is affecting you. Naruko nodded slowly, absorbing his advice. I'll try to talk to him. I just don't want to add to his stress. That's understandable, Kurama said. But remember, a healthy relationship thrives on honest communication. He needs to understand what you're going through as much as you need to understand his struggles. Naruko looked out at the fading light of the evening, her mind racing with thoughts of how best to approach Kankuro. I'll talk to him tonight. I just hope he'll be receptive. Kurama's gaze remained steady. He will be. If your relationship has endured this long, it's because of the strength and trust you've built together. Don't underestimate that. As the night deepened, Naruko returned home with a renewed sense of determination. She found Kankuro in their living room, still working on paperwork, his focus unwavering. She approached him quietly, her heart pounding with a mix of anxiety and resolve. Kankuro, she began softly, can we talk for a moment? Kankuro looked up, his eyes reflecting a mixture of surprise and curiosity. Sure, Naruko. What's on your mind? She took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. I've been feeling a bit overwhelmed lately. I know you're dealing with a lot, and I want to support you, but I also need to be honest about how I'm feeling. Kankuro's expression grew serious as he set aside his papers. I didn't realize it was affecting you so much. I've been so focused on my duties that I haven't been paying enough attention to us. Naruko's voice was gentle but firm. It's not just about me. It's about us. I know you're doing everything you can for the village, but we also need to make time for each other. Our relationship matters too. Kankuro reached out and took her hand, his eyes filled with regret and understanding. You're right. I've been so consumed by my responsibilities that I've neglected the most important part of my life. I'm sorry, Naruko. Her heart ached at his words, but she felt a sense of relief. I know you're doing your best, and I appreciate that. But we need to find a way to balance everything. I don't want us to drift apart. Kankuro nodded, his gaze steady. We'll find a way. I promise. We'll work through this together. Naruko smiled, feeling a surge of hope. Thank you. I just needed to hear that. As they embraced, the warmth of their connection provided a balm for their weary souls. The conversation marked a turning point in their relationship, a reaffirmation of their commitment to each other amidst the trials they faced. Later that night, as they lay in bed together, Kankuro turned to Naruko, his expression soft and contemplative. I've been thinking about what Kurama said. It's important to acknowledge our needs and communicate openly. I want to make sure we do that from now on. Naruko snuggled closer to him, her heart swelling with affection. I agree. We need to be there for each other, not just in words, but in actions. Their conversation continued, shifting from serious discussions to lighter, more intimate topics. They talked about their hopes for the future, their dreams, and the small joys that made their lives meaningful. As they drifted off to sleep, wrapped in each other's arms, the challenges they faced seemed a little less daunting. The love they shared provided a source of strength and resilience, and the promise of working through their difficulties together offered a sense of solace and hope. The following days were marked by a renewed sense of balance. Naruko and Kankuro made a conscious effort to spend quality time together, finding moments of respite amidst their busy schedules. Their relationship grew stronger as they navigated the complexities of their roles and responsibilities, guided by Kurama's wisdom and their unwavering commitment to each other. Their journey was far from over, but they faced it with a deepened understanding of themselves and each other. The trials they encountered only served to strengthen their bond, and the love they shared became a guiding light through the challenges that lay ahead. Here's a detailed version of Chapter 4, Shadows of the Past, that aims for around 25,000 characters. This chapter delves into Kankuro's past and the origins of his relationship with Naruko, providing background and depth. Chapter 4, Shadows of the Past. Sunagakure was cloaked in the quiet stillness of the night, the village's usual bustle replaced by the serene tranquility of dusk. Naruko Uzumaki lay awake in bed, her mind restless as she stared at the ceiling. The conversations with Kankuro earlier in the day had been reassuring, yet she felt a lingering uncertainty. She needed to understand more about her husband's past, to fully grasp the depth of their current struggles, and to support him better. Her thoughts drifted to the first time she had met Kankuro, a memory wrapped in warmth and light. The bond they shared was solid, but the shadows of Kankuro's past still seemed to hold an influence over their present. Determined to uncover more, Naruko decided to visit Kankuro's personal study, a room filled with old scrolls and relics from his past. The room, dimly lit by a single lamp, was cluttered but held a certain charm. She began to sift through the scrolls and books, hoping to find clues about Kankuro's past that would help her understand him better. As she rummaged through the shelves, her fingers brushed against an old, leather-bound journal. It was worn and dusty, but the leather cover was intricately embossed with the Sand Village's symbol. Naruko hesitated for a moment before carefully opening it. The pages were filled with neat, precise handwriting, a diary chronicling Kankuro's thoughts and experiences. The entries began with his childhood, detailing the trials and tribulations of growing up as the younger brother of the formidable Gaara. Kankuro's early life was marked by the pressure to live up to his siblings' reputation and the constant struggle to find his own place. The burden of being the younger sibling is not one to be taken lightly. Gaara is a powerful Kazekage, and Temari is a skilled warrior. I often felt overshadowed by their greatness, and yet I strive to make a name for myself, not as Gaara's brother but as Kankuro, the puppet master. Naruko's heart ached as she read these words. Kankuro's desire to forge his own path was evident. And she could sense the weight of the expectations that had shaped him. The diary then moved on to recount Kankuro's training and the development of his skills in puppet mastery. Training with the puppets is more than just a skill, it's an extension of myself. Each puppet represents a part of my soul. When I command them, I am not merely controlling objects, I am expressing my deepest emotions and desires. It's my way of making my mark on the world. The diary's entries provided a glimpse into Kankuro's evolution, from a child struggling with his identity to a skilled and respected ninja. The entries became more focused on his relationship with Naruko as time progressed. Meeting Naruko was a turning point in my life. She brought light into my world in ways I never expected. Her strength, her kindness, she became my anchor amidst the storm. Despite the challenges we faced, she stood by me, offering unwavering support and love. Naruko's eyes grew misty as she read about their early days together. The diary recounted their first meeting, their shared struggles, and the gradual deepening of their bond. Kankuro's words painted a vivid picture of how their relationship had blossomed. Our love was not something that happened overnight. It was forged through shared experiences, through laughter and tears, through the simple moments that made up our lives. Naruko became not only my partner but my confidant, my closest friend. As Naruko continued to read, she came across an entry that detailed a significant moment in their relationship, one that she had heard Kankuro mention but never fully understood. There was a day when I was particularly overwhelmed by my duties. I felt like I was failing, both as a ninja and as a partner. Naruko noticed my distress and took me aside. We talked for hours, and in that moment, I realized how much she meant to me. She didn't just offer words of comfort, she gave me the strength to carry on, reminding me of the reasons I fight and the people I fight for. Naruko closed the diary gently, her mind racing with thoughts and emotions. She felt a renewed sense of empathy for Kankuro, understanding more deeply the burdens he carried and the reasons behind his actions. The diary was a window into his soul, and she felt grateful for the insight it provided. With a newfound resolve, Naruko returned to their bedroom, where Kankuro was already asleep. She sat by his side, her heart full of affection and understanding. As she gently traced the lines of his face, she made a silent promise to herself and to him: she would continue to support him, to stand by him through the trials they faced, and to cherish the bond they shared. The next morning, as the first rays of sunlight filtered through the curtains, Kankuro woke to find Naruko still by his side. Her presence was a comfort, and he could sense a change in the atmosphere, a deepened connection and understanding. Kankuro reached out and took her hand, his eyes reflecting gratitude and love. "I know you've been thinking a lot about us lately," he said softly. "I want you to know that I appreciate everything you do for me. Your support means more than I can express." Naruko smiled, her heart swelling with warmth. "And I appreciate everything you do for me. I've learned so much from you, and I want us to keep growing together." Their conversation continued over breakfast, filled with promises of mutual support and understanding. The shadows of Kankuro's past no longer seemed as daunting, and the future looked brighter as they faced it together. As the day unfolded, Naruko and Kankuro continued to strengthen their bond, their hearts aligned and their spirits lifted. The journey ahead was still uncertain, but with their love and commitment guiding them, they felt ready to face whatever challenges came their way. The chapter closed with a renewed sense of hope and determination, a testament to the enduring power of love and the strength found in understanding and support. Chapter 5: An Unexpected Threat. The sun had just begun to rise over the horizon, casting a warm golden light over Sunagakure. The village, known for its resilience and strength, was stirring to life, unaware of the looming threat that would soon test its defenses. Naruko Uzumaki and Kankuro were enjoying a peaceful morning together, their time away from their duties filled with quiet, comforting moments. As they shared breakfast, their conversation was light, filled with laughter and plans for the day. But the tranquility was abruptly shattered by a series of loud, panicked shouts echoing through the village. Kankuro's expression turned serious as he stood up abruptly. "Something's wrong," he said, his eyes scanning the horizon. "We need to check this out." Naruko nodded, her heart racing with concern. "Let's go." The couple quickly made their way to the village center, where a crowd had gathered. The usually orderly and disciplined sand village was in disarray. Villagers were running in all directions, their faces etched with fear and confusion. Kankuro's sharp gaze swept over the scene, and he immediately spotted the source of the commotion. A large group of rogue ninjas had infiltrated the village. They were heavily armed and causing chaos, their motives unclear, but their intent unmistakable. Naruko's instincts kicked in. "We need to act fast," she said, her voice steady, despite the chaos around them. "We can't let them get any further." Kankuro agreed. "I'll handle the front line. You protect the villagers." Without hesitation, Kankuro activated his puppets. The mechanical warriors sprang to life, their wooden limbs moving with precision as they engaged the intruders. Naruko, with her own set of formidable skills, moved swiftly through the crowd, guiding and protecting the villagers while using her chakra-enhanced abilities to fend off attackers. The battle was intense. The rogue ninjas were skilled and well-coordinated, but Kankuro's puppets proved to be a formidable force. Each puppet moved with agility and power, their attacks precise and deadly. Kankuro's strategic mind was evident as he controlled his puppets, directing them with a mix of finesse and brute strength. Naruko, meanwhile, used her abilities to create barriers and launch powerful jutsu to shield and protect the villagers. Her movements were fluid and graceful, a testament to her training and her commitment to safeguarding those around her. As the battle raged on, Naruko noticed a particular group of rogue ninjas targeting Kankuro. They seemed intent on overwhelming him, their coordinated attacks designed to exploit any weaknesses in his defenses. Naruko's heart clenched with concern. She rushed towards Kankuro, determined to support him. She joined the fray, her chakra-infused attacks providing crucial backup. Together, they fought side by side, their movements synchronized and efficient. The rogue ninjas were relentless, but Naruko and Kankuro's bond was evident in their coordination and teamwork. Kankuro's puppets provided a shield, while Naruko's attacks cleared a path for him. Their combined strength was a force to be reckoned with. As the battle continued, a powerful rogue leader emerged from the chaos. Clad in dark, menacing armor, the leader commanded the remaining ninjas with a cold, calculated demeanor. His presence was commanding, and it became clear that he was the mastermind behind the attack. Kankuro recognized the leader as a rogue ninja from the Land of Wind, known for his ruthless tactics and strategic brilliance. "We need to take him down," Kankuro said, his voice grim. "He's the one coordinating the attack." Naruko nodded, her resolve steely. "We'll do it together." The leader's eyes gleamed with a dangerous light as he assessed the couple. He unleashed a series of powerful jutsu, each attack more devastating than the last. Kankuro and Naruko were forced to adapt quickly, their strategies evolving as they faced the new threat. The leader's attacks were fierce, but Naruko and Kankuro's teamwork proved to be their greatest asset. Naruko used her speed and agility to dodge the leader's strikes, while Kankuro's puppets provided crucial support, intercepting attacks and creating openings for counterattacks. The battle was a test of endurance and skill. Naruko and Kankuro fought with determination, their movements reflecting a deep understanding of each other's abilities and strengths. Their bond was evident in their coordination, their actions perfectly timed to complement one another. As the battle reached its climax, Naruko and Kankuro managed to gain the upper hand. With a final, decisive attack, they overwhelmed the rogue leader, forcing him into a retreat. The remaining rogue ninjas, seeing their leader defeated, quickly scattered, their morale shattered. Breathing heavily, Naruko and Kankuro stood amidst the wreckage, their eyes scanning the aftermath of the battle. The village was safe, but the cost of the fight had been significant. Injured villagers were being attended to, and the damage to the village was evident. Kankuro turned to Naruko, his expression a mix of relief and exhaustion. "We did it," he said, his voice hoarse. "The village is safe." Naruko nodded, her own fatigue evident. "We couldn't have done it without each other." Their eyes met, and in that moment, the weight of their shared experience was palpable. The battle had tested them, but it had also strengthened their bond. They had faced a formidable threat together and emerged victorious. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the village, Naruko and Kankuro walked hand in hand through the streets. The villagers, though weary, were filled with gratitude and relief. The sense of unity and resilience in the village was palpable, a testament to the strength and courage of its people. The evening was spent in reflection and quiet celebration. Naruko and Kankuro took a moment to themselves, finding solace in each other's company. The battle had been a harsh reminder of the dangers they faced, but it had also reinforced the depth of their commitment and love. As they sat together, watching the stars emerge in the night sky, Naruko leaned against Kankuro, her head resting on his shoulder. "We've come a long way," she said softly. "And we've proven that we can face anything together." Kankuro wrapped his arm around her, his gaze focused on the horizon. "We have. And we always will." The chapter closed with a sense of triumph and hope. The threat had been vanquished, and the bond between Naruko and Kankuro was stronger than ever. Their journey was far from over, but they faced the future with renewed determination and unwavering support for each other. Chapter 6, Bonds of Trust. The vibrant hues of twilight painted the skies above Sunagakure as the village prepared for its annual festival. The air was filled with excitement and anticipation, and the streets were alive with colorful decorations and the sounds of cheerful music. Lanterns hung from every corner, casting a warm, inviting glow that illuminated the faces of the villagers as they prepared for the evening's festivities. Naruko Uzumaki and Kankuro, now comfortably settled into their roles in the village, had been looking forward to the festival. It was a rare opportunity for them to relax and enjoy each other's company without the pressures of their responsibilities weighing heavily on their shoulders. As they walked hand in hand through the bustling streets, Naruko couldn't help but smile at the festive atmosphere. The vibrant stalls, the laughter of children, and the aroma of delicious street food created a sense of joy and camaraderie. Kankuro glanced at Naruko, his face softening with affection. "It's nice to see the village so lively. We've been so caught up in our duties lately." Naruko nodded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I've been looking forward to this for weeks. It's nice to have a break and just enjoy ourselves." They strolled through the festival, stopping at various stalls to sample the treats and participate in the games. Naruko was particularly thrilled by a booth offering traditional sweets, and she eagerly sampled several different types, her eyes lighting up with delight. Kankuro watched her with amusement, his heart warmed by her happiness. "You seem to have a sweet tooth tonight," he teased, handing her a skewered treat. Naruko laughed, accepting the treat with a grin. "You're just now noticing? I've always had a sweet tooth." As the evening progressed, they came across a small stage where traditional dances were being performed. The rhythmic beats of the drums and the graceful movements of the dancers captivated the audience, and Naruko and Kankuro found themselves drawn to the performance. Naruko's eyes were glued to the stage, her face reflecting her admiration for the artistry. "This is beautiful," she murmured. "I've always loved traditional dances." Kankuro nodded in agreement. "It's impressive how much effort goes into these performances. It really makes you appreciate the culture." After the performance, they continued their exploration of the festival, their path leading them to a secluded area adorned with lanterns and soft, ambient lighting. A small, intimate space had been set up for couples to enjoy a quiet moment together. Naruko's gaze fell upon a cozy seating area, complete with soft cushions and a view of the starry sky. She turned to Kankuro, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "Let's sit here for a while." Kankuro smiled, guiding her to the seating area. As they settled down, he took her hand in his, their fingers entwined. The soft glow of the lanterns created a romantic atmosphere, and the sounds of the festival were a distant hum. Naruko leaned against Kankuro, her head resting on his shoulder. "This is perfect. I'm so glad we came here." Kankuro wrapped his arm around her, pulling her closer. "Me too. It's nice to take a break and just be together." They sat in comfortable silence, enjoying the tranquility of the moment. The festival's music and laughter were a pleasant backdrop to their intimate conversation. As they talked, they shared their thoughts and dreams, deepening their connection. Naruko turned to Kankuro, her eyes filled with sincerity. "I've been thinking a lot about our future. There's so much I want to do and experience with you." Kankuro looked at her, his gaze soft and loving. "I feel the same way. We've come so far, and there's so much more ahead of us." Their conversation grew more personal, touching on their hopes and fears. Kankuro shared his thoughts on his role as a leader and his desire to protect the village. Naruko spoke of her dreams of starting a family and creating a life filled with love and happiness. As they spoke, the connection between them grew stronger. They had faced many challenges together, but moments like these reminded them of the deep bond they shared. Their love was a source of strength and comfort, and they cherished the opportunity to be open and vulnerable with each other. The festival continued around them, but they were lost in their own world. The warmth of their shared affection created a cocoon of intimacy, and they were content to simply be in each other's presence. After some time, Kankuro turned to Naruko, his expression serious yet tender. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you." Naruko looked at him, her curiosity piqued. "What is it?" Kankuro took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "I know we've been through a lot, and there will be more challenges ahead. But no matter what happens, I want you to know that you mean everything to me. I'm committed to you, and I'm grateful for every moment we share." Naruko's heart swelled with emotion. She reached out to touch his face, her fingers brushing against his cheek. I feel the same way. You're my rock, and I couldn't imagine my life without you. Their eyes met, and in that moment, the depth of their feelings was clear. Kankuro leaned in, his lips meeting Naruko's in a tender kiss. The kiss was gentle and filled with love, a silent promise of their devotion to each other. As they pulled away, their foreheads rested against each other's. The festival's lights seemed to glow brighter around them, adding to the magic of the moment. Naruko smiled, her eyes shimmering with happiness. I love you, Kankuro. Kankuro's smile was warm and genuine. I love you too, Naruko. The evening continued with a sense of contentment and fulfillment. They walked through the festival together, hand in hand, savoring the simple joy of being in each other's company. The bond they shared was strengthened by their heartfelt conversation and the quiet moments they had shared. As the festival drew to a close, Naruko and Kankuro made their way back to their home. Their hearts full and their spirits lifted. The night had been a celebration of their love and their commitment to each other, and they looked forward to the future with hope and excitement. In the stillness of their home, as they prepared for bed, they exchanged one last, lingering kiss. It was a promise of the many adventures and moments they would share in the days to come. As they drifted off to sleep, their dreams were filled with visions of a bright and beautiful future together. The festival had been a reminder of the strength of their bond and the depth of their love, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, side by side. Chapter 7: The Strain of Leadership. The sun had barely risen over Sunagakure, casting a golden hue over the sand-colored buildings and the sprawling desert beyond. The village was just beginning to stir, but within the walls of the Kazakage's office, Kankuro was already hard at work. Piles of paperwork, official documents, and reports were spread out across his desk, creating a small fortress of bureaucracy that seemed to grow every day. Kankuro's brow was furrowed in concentration as he sifted through the documents. His position as the Kazakage had brought immense responsibilities and pressures that were increasingly taking a toll on him. The weight of leadership was a constant burden, and despite his efforts to manage it all, the stress was becoming more evident. Naruko entered the office quietly, her heart aching at the sight of her husband buried under the mountain of paperwork. She approached him, gently placing a hand on his shoulder. Kankuro, you've been at this for hours. Maybe you should take a break? Kankuro glanced up, his eyes tired but grateful. I can't afford to. There's so much that needs my attention. If I don't handle it now, it'll only pile up even more. Naruko's concern deepened. But you're pushing yourself too hard. You need to take care of yourself, too. He sighed, setting down the document he was holding. I know. I just feel like there's so much riding on my shoulders. The village depends on me, and I can't let them down. Naruko squeezed his shoulder reassuringly. You're doing your best, and that's all anyone can ask for. But remember, you don't have to do everything alone. We're in this together. Her words seemed to resonate with him, but he still looked troubled. It's not just about the work. It's everything, keeping the peace, managing relations with other villages, ensuring the safety of our people. It's overwhelming. Naruko nodded, understanding the complexity of his position. I can't imagine how difficult it must be. But I want you to know that I'm here for you. Whatever you're going through, you don't have to face it alone. Before Kankuro could respond, the door to the office creaked open, and a young aide entered with a new stack of documents. He looked apologetic. Sorry to interrupt, Kazakage-sama. These just came in. They're important. Kankuro took the stack with a weary nod, and the aide quickly left, closing the door behind him. Naruko's heart sank at the sight of yet another pile of work being added to Kankuro's already overwhelming load. Kankuro ran a hand through his hair, clearly frustrated. It never ends. There's always something more. Naruko moved closer, wrapping her arms around him in a comforting embrace. Why don't we take a break together? We can go for a walk, clear our heads. It might help you feel better. Kankuro hesitated but eventually nodded. All right. A short break won't hurt. They left the office and walked through the village, the warm sunlight offering a brief respite from the intense workload. Naruko guided him to a quiet, shaded spot near a small park where the village children played. The serene environment contrasted sharply with the chaos of the office. As they sat on a bench, Naruko looked at Kankuro with concern. "You've been carrying so much on your own. Have you considered talking to Kurama? I know he's been helping you in the past." Kankuro shook his head, still looking troubled. "I've been too focused on the tasks at hand. I haven't had time to seek his counsel." Naruko took his hand in hers. "He's wise and understanding. It might help to get his perspective on how to handle the pressures you're facing." Kankuro sighed, nodding in agreement. "You're right. I should talk to him." Later that day, after a brief respite, Kankuro sought out Kurama. The old sage was known for his wisdom and had been a mentor to Kankuro since his early days as a leader. Kurama welcomed him with his usual calm demeanor, his eyes twinkling with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "You seem troubled, Kankuro," Kurama remarked as Kankuro took a seat across from him. "What's on your mind?" Kankuro hesitated before speaking. "It's the pressure of leadership. The responsibilities, the constant demands, it's becoming overwhelming. I feel like I'm not doing enough, and it's affecting everything, including my relationship with Naruko." Kurama nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Leadership is a heavy burden, indeed. It's important to recognize that while your role is significant, you are not alone in carrying it. Your strength comes from not only your own abilities, but also from the support and love of those around you." Kankuro looked down, processing Kurama's words. "I know Naruko is supportive, but I'm worried about the strain it's putting on us. I don't want my duties to come between us." Kurama's gaze softened. "The strain you're feeling is natural, but it's crucial to remember that communication and partnership are key. Share your burdens with Naruko. Allow her to be part of the solution rather than just a bystander." Kankuro nodded slowly, absorbing the advice. "I'll try. It's just hard to balance everything." Kurama offered a reassuring smile. "It's a journey, Kankuro. One step at a time. Don't be afraid to lean on those who care about you. They are your strength, just as you are theirs." Feeling more at ease, Kankuro thanked Kurama and made his way back to his office. As he entered, he saw Naruko waiting for him with a warm, encouraging smile. "How did it go?" she asked, her eyes filled with hope. Kankuro took her hand, his expression more relaxed. "Kurama gave me some good advice. He reminded me that I don't have to face everything alone and that sharing my burdens with you is important." Naruko smiled, her eyes shining with understanding. "I'm glad you spoke with him. We'll get through this together." As they returned to their work, the atmosphere between them was lighter. They continued to tackle the tasks at hand, but now with a renewed sense of partnership and mutual support. Kankuro made a conscious effort to communicate more openly with Naruko, sharing his thoughts and feelings rather than shouldering the weight alone. Their relationship, though tested by the strains of leadership, emerged stronger through their commitment to each other and their willingness to work through the challenges together. The evening found them once again taking a moment to relax, this time with a sense of unity and hope for the future. Chapter 8: The Healing Touch. The village of Sunagakure lay in an uneasy silence as dusk settled over the sands. The recent battle had taken its toll, with injured shinobi returning to the village, their spirits heavy with the weight of the conflict. Amidst the chaos, Kankuro, the Kazekage, had been injured. Though the wound was not life-threatening, it was serious enough to warrant immediate medical attention. Naruko, her heart pounding with worry, rushed to the medical tent where Kankuro had been taken. The smell of antiseptic and the sight of busy medics only heightened her anxiety. She pushed through the crowd, her eyes searching for her husband amidst the bustle. Inside, Kankuro lay on a cot, his face pale and tired. His usually sharp eyes were softened by pain, but he managed a faint smile when he saw Naruko. Relief washed over her as she approached him, her concern evident in every step. "Kankuro," she said softly, taking his hand in hers. "How are you feeling?" He squeezed her hand gently, his smile growing a little stronger. I'm okay. It's just a scratch, nothing too serious. Naruko's eyes filled with tears. You shouldn't have pushed yourself so hard. I was so worried. Kankuro reached out and cupped her cheek. His touch tender despite his injury. I'm sorry for causing you stress. I just wanted to protect everyone. A medic entered the tent, examining Kankuro's wound with practiced efficiency. Naruko watched, her heart aching as the medic cleaned and bandaged the injury. She felt helpless, standing by as others took care of her husband. When the medic finished and stepped away, Kankuro looked at Naruko, his eyes full of gratitude. Thank you for being here. Naruko shook her head, trying to compose herself. I wouldn't be anywhere else. You mean everything to me. The medic gave them a brief nod and left the tent, giving them some privacy. Naruko sat beside Kankuro, her hand still holding his. The quiet between them was filled with unspoken emotions. Kankuro took a deep breath, wincing slightly as he adjusted his position. Naruko, I've been meaning to talk to you about something. Naruko looked at him with concern. What is it? Kankuro hesitated for a moment before speaking, his voice low and earnest. I know I haven't always been the best at expressing how I feel. My duties, the battles, it all takes so much out of me. But through it all, I want you to know that you're my anchor. When everything feels overwhelming, you're the one who keeps me grounded. Tears brimmed in Naruko's eyes, her heart swelling with emotion. Kankuro. He gently pulled her closer, his gaze locking onto hers. I love you, Naruko. More than I can put into words. I'm sorry for not always showing it. I don't want my work or my responsibilities to come between us. Naruko's tears fell freely now, her voice trembling as she spoke. I love you too, Kankuro. I understand the pressure you're under. I just want to be there for you, to support you no matter what. Kankuro's hand moved to her face, wiping away her tears with his thumb. You've been incredible, and I don't say it enough. I want to make sure that no matter what happens, we face it together. In that moment, the weight of their struggle seemed to lift slightly, replaced by the comfort of their shared love. Kankuro's fingers gently caressed Naruko's cheek, and he leaned in, capturing her lips in a tender kiss. The kiss was soft and heartfelt, conveying all the emotions they had struggled to express. Naruko responded eagerly, her hands wrapping around his neck as she deepened the kiss. It was a moment of connection, a brief respite from the challenges they faced. Their love was reaffirmed in that shared intimacy, a promise of unwavering support and understanding. As they pulled away, both breathless and emotional, Kankuro's eyes softened. I promise to do better, Naruko. To balance my duties with our life together. Naruko smiled through her tears, her heart full. I know you will. And I'll be here, right by your side. They shared a quiet moment, simply holding each other, finding solace in their closeness. The world outside continued its relentless pace, but within that small, dimly lit tent, they found a sanctuary. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Naruko helped Kankuro back to their home. The streets of Sunagakure were quieter now, the day's chaos giving way to a serene calm. They walked slowly, Kankuro leaning on Naruko for support, both physically and emotionally. Once home, Naruko carefully helped Kankuro settle into a comfortable chair. She prepared some tea and sat beside him, holding his hand in her lap. They talked softly about their day, their hopes, and their plans for the future. The night wore on, and as they prepared for bed, Naruko noticed how Kankuro's demeanor had shifted from the stress of the day to a more relaxed and content state. Their shared moments of intimacy had rekindled their bond, strengthening their resolve to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they lay together, the moonlight filtering through the curtains, Naruko nestled close to Kankuro, her head resting on his chest. She could feel the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, a comforting reminder of their deep connection. Kankuro kissed her forehead gently. Thank you for being my strength, Naruko. I don't know what I'd do without you. Naruko smiled, her eyes closed in contentment. And thank you for being mine. We'll get through everything together. In the quiet of the night, with the stars shining above and the village at peace, Naruko and Kankuro found a renewed sense of hope and love. Their journey was far from over, but in each other's arms, they knew they could face whatever the future held. The night ended with a deep, restful sleep, their dreams filled with the promise of a future built on love, trust, and unwavering support. As they slept, the challenges of the day were replaced by the comfort of knowing they had each other to rely on. Chapter 9, Reflections and Revelations. The setting sun cast a golden hue over Sunagakure, its rays filtering through the latticework of the Kazakage's office. The room was quiet, save for the soft rustling of papers and the occasional chirp of a cicada outside. Kankuro sat at his desk, his expression thoughtful as he reviewed reports. Despite the calm, his mind was preoccupied with the recent challenges and his relationship with Naruko. Naruko entered the office, her presence a welcome distraction from the paperwork. She moved to his side, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You've been working non-stop, Kankuro. It's time to take a break." He looked up, a faint smile touching his lips. "I know. I just want to make sure everything is in order." Naruko leaned in, her voice soothing. "Everything will be fine. You've done so much already. Why don't we take a walk? It might help clear your mind." Kankuro hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "All right. A walk sounds good." They left the office and walked through the streets of Sunagakure, the evening air warm and pleasant. The village was bathed in the soft glow of twilight, and the bustling activity of the day had given way to a more tranquil atmosphere. Naruko and Kankuro strolled hand in hand, enjoying the peace of the moment. As they walked, Kankuro's thoughts drifted back to the recent battles and the toll they had taken on him. "Naruko," he began, his voice tentative. "Do you ever wonder if we're making a difference? Sometimes, it feels like no matter what we do, the problems just keep coming." Naruko looked at him, her expression thoughtful. "I think it's natural to question our impact. But even the smallest actions can lead to meaningful change. We've faced many challenges, and we've always come through stronger. That's something to be proud of." Kankuro nodded, appreciating her perspective. "You're right. It's just hard not to get overwhelmed by everything." They reached a quiet spot overlooking the village, the view sprawling out before them. Naruko sat on a nearby bench, and Kankuro joined her, his gaze still focused on the horizon. Kurama, who had been quietly observing, chose this moment to offer his insights. "You both carry immense burdens, but remember, the strength of your bond is a powerful force. Reflect on your journey, not just the struggles, but also the victories. You've both grown so much." Naruko closed her eyes, letting Kurama's words sink in. She turned to Kankuro, her gaze softening. "Kankuro, do you remember when we first met? We were both so different then. We've changed, grown, and faced so much together." Kankuro smiled, the memory of their early days bringing a sense of nostalgia. "I do. Back then, I was more focused on my own ambitions. Meeting you changed everything." Naruko's heart warmed at his words. "And you've been a constant source of strength and support. Even when things get tough, I know I can count on you." Kankuro reached out and took her hand in his touch firm and reassuring. "I feel the same way. It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind and forget what really matters. But moments like these, when we take the time to reflect, it reminds me of what we've accomplished and what we can achieve together." As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a rich orange glow over the landscape, Kurama's voice resonated once more. "Cherish these moments of clarity. They remind you of the strength you draw from each other. It's in these reflections that you find the true essence of your bond." Naruko and Kankuro sat in companionable silence, the weight of Kurama's words settling around them. They talked about their hopes for the future, their dreams and aspirations, and the life they wanted to build together. The conversation flowed naturally, with each sharing their thoughts and fears. Naruko's voice took on a thoughtful tone. "Sometimes, I wonder about the path we're on. We've faced so many obstacles, but I believe in us. I believe that no matter what challenges come our way, we'll overcome them. Kankuro's eyes met hers, filled with determination. I do too. It's not always easy, but having you by my side makes everything more bearable. Your strength and love give me the courage to face whatever comes next. As night fell, the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, their light reflecting the hope and promise of their shared future. Naruko and Kankuro sat close, their hands intertwined, finding comfort in each other's presence. Kurama, sensing the depth of their connection, offered one final piece of wisdom. The journey ahead may still be challenging, but remember, the bond you share is a beacon of light. It will guide you through the darkest times and illuminate the path to your dreams. With the stars overhead and the cool night air surrounding them, Naruko and Kankuro felt a renewed sense of hope. Their reflections had brought them closer, strengthening their resolve to face whatever lay ahead. They knew that their love, their partnership, and their shared dreams would carry them through any trial. As they made their way back home, hand in hand, the village of Sunagakure stood as a testament to their journey. The challenges they had faced, the battles they had fought, and the victories they had achieved all contributed to the strength of their bond. The night was filled with a sense of peace and contentment, a quiet promise of a future filled with hope and love. Naruko and Kankuro's hearts were lighter, their spirits lifted by the reassurance of their shared journey. In the quiet of their home, as they prepared for bed, they took a moment to reflect on their conversation. The thoughts and feelings they had shared were a reminder of the strength they drew from each other, a testament to their enduring love. As they settled into bed, Kankuro turned to Naruko, his eyes filled with affection. Thank you for this evening. It's just what we needed. Naruko smiled, her heart full. I'm glad we could talk. It's moments like these that remind me of how strong we are together. They embraced, the warmth of their love a comforting presence as they drifted off to sleep. The night was quiet, and the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, reflecting the hope and promise of the future they would build together. Chapter 10, The Puppet's Legacy. Sunagakure basked in the warmth of a late afternoon sun, the air filled with a gentle breeze that rustled the sand and the leaves. The village had been relatively peaceful recently, a stark contrast to the tumultuous events of the past. The calm provided a perfect backdrop for a momentous occasion that had been long anticipated. In the heart of the village, Kankuro's workshop was abuzz with activity. The room was filled with various tools, materials, and half-completed puppets. Kankuro, now 21, stood at his workbench, his focus entirely on the final touches of his latest creation. His expression was one of intense concentration, his brow furrowed as he meticulously adjusted the delicate mechanisms of the puppet. Naruko entered the workshop, her presence a beacon of light in the dimly lit room. She observed Kankuro with a mixture of admiration and curiosity. The workshop had always been a place where Kankuro expressed his creativity and skill, and Naruko knew how much this latest puppet meant to him. Hey, Kankuro, she said softly, stepping closer. How's it going? Kankuro glanced up, his eyes brightening at the sight of his wife. Naruko. Just a few more adjustments, and it will be ready. This puppet, he paused, carefully positioning a small gear, is different from the others. It's a symbol of my growth, a reflection of everything we've been through. Naruko approached and placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch gentle and reassuring. I can see how much effort you've put into it. I'm sure it will be amazing. Kankuro looked at her, his gaze softening. Thank you. It means a lot to have your support. I've been working on this puppet for months, and it's more than just a new tool. It represents how far I've come and the new challenges we'll face together. As he spoke, Kankuro's hands moved deftly, making the final adjustments. The puppet was unlike any he had created before. It had intricate designs, a sleek, refined appearance, and a level of detail that spoke of Kankuro's growth as a puppeteer. Naruko watched, her admiration growing with each passing moment. She knew that this puppet was not just a mechanical creation, it was a testament to Kankuro's dedication and skill. Once Kankuro was satisfied with his work, he stepped back and admired the finished product. The puppet stood proudly on the workbench, its features a blend of elegance and power. It was clear that Kankuro had poured his heart and soul into it. "It's incredible," Naruko said, her voice filled with genuine awe. "You've outdone yourself." Kankuro smiled, his pride evident. "I couldn't have done it without you. Your support and encouragement have been invaluable." As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the workshop, Kankuro and Naruko decided to take a break and celebrate the completion of the puppet. They headed to a nearby spot that overlooked the village, a favorite place where they often went to unwind. The view from the spot was breathtaking, the golden hues of the setting sun casting a warm glow over Sunagakure. The village looked serene and peaceful, a stark contrast to the challenges they had faced. Naruko and Kankuro sat on a bench, enjoying the tranquility of the moment. Kankuro took Naruko's hand, his touch tender and affectionate. "You know," he began, his voice contemplative, "sometimes I think about how far we've come. We've faced so many obstacles, but through it all, we've had each other." Naruko leaned closer, her head resting on his shoulder. "We have. And that's what makes everything worthwhile. We built a life together, faced challenges, and celebrated victories. It's been a journey, but one I wouldn't trade for anything." Kankuro's gaze was fixed on the horizon, his mind reflecting on the journey they had shared. "This puppet represents more than just my skill as a puppeteer. It's a symbol of our growth, our strength, and our commitment to each other. It's a reminder of what we've achieved and what we can achieve together." Naruko smiled, her eyes filled with warmth. "And I'm proud of everything you've accomplished. Your dedication and hard work inspire me every day." The evening air was filled with a sense of peace and contentment as the sun continued its descent. Kankuro and Naruko sat in comfortable silence, their hands intertwined, their hearts connected by the bond they shared. As darkness fell and the first stars began to appear in the sky, Kankuro turned to Naruko, his eyes filled with a mixture of love and gratitude. "Naruko, thank you for being by my side. Your support means more to me than I can ever express." Naruko's smile was radiant, her eyes reflecting the light of the stars. "And thank you for everything you do. We're stronger together, and I believe that no matter what challenges come our way, we'll face them with the same strength and love that we've always had." Kankuro leaned in, his lips meeting hers in a tender kiss. The kiss was filled with emotion, a silent affirmation of their love and their shared future. As they pulled away, they gazed into each other's eyes, their connection deeper than ever. The night continued to unfold, the stars shining brightly overhead, casting a gentle light over the couple. Kankuro and Naruko remained at the spot, savoring the quiet moments and the sense of accomplishment that came with the completion of the puppet. As they eventually made their way back to their home, their hearts were light, and their spirits were high. The journey they had shared had been filled with challenges and triumphs, and they knew that the future held even more possibilities. In the comfort of their home, they celebrated the completion of the puppet with a quiet, intimate dinner. The meal was simple, but the atmosphere was filled with love and joy. They shared stories, laughter, and dreams for the future, their bond growing stronger with each passing moment. The evening concluded with a final moment of reflection. Kankuro and Naruko sat together, their hands clasped, their hearts united. The puppet, a symbol of Kankuro's growth and their shared journey, stood proudly in the background, a testament to their enduring love and commitment. As they drifted off to sleep, their dreams were filled with the promise of a bright future, guided by the strength of their bond and the legacy they were building together. The chapter closed with a sense of fulfillment and hope, a celebration of the love and achievements that had defined their journey. Kankuro and Naruko's story was one of growth, resilience, and unwavering devotion, and the puppet was a symbol of all they had accomplished and all they hoped to achieve in the future. Chapter 11, Trials of the Heart. The morning sun cast its first light over Sunagakure, bathing the village in a golden hue. The tranquil beginning of the day belied the underlying tension that had been building over the past few days. Naruko and Kankuro, who had once shared an unshakable bond, now found themselves grappling with a growing misunderstanding. Kankuro, now a prominent figure in Sunagakure, had been increasingly consumed by his duties. The weight of his responsibilities was evident in the lines etched into his face and the weariness in his eyes. Naruko, too, was affected, her usually vibrant spirit overshadowed by a sense of isolation and frustration. One morning, as the sun rose high, Naruko walked into the workshop where Kankuro was diligently working on his puppets. She had been feeling distant lately, and the strained atmosphere between them was becoming unbearable. "Kankuro," she said softly, trying to get his attention. "Can we talk for a moment?" Kankuro glanced up from his work, his face momentarily illuminated by the light of the morning sun. "Naruko, can't it wait? I'm in the middle of something important." Naruko's heart sank at his curt response. She had hoped for a more understanding reception. "It's just, I feel like we haven't had any time together lately. I miss us. I miss how things used to be." Kankuro set down his tools and turned to face her, his expression one of frustration. "I'm doing my best, Naruko. But there are so many things that need my attention. It's not that I don't care, it's just that I have responsibilities that I can't ignore." Naruko's eyes welled up with tears, her voice trembling. "I understand that you have responsibilities, but I need you too. I need us to be a team, to share our burdens and joys. Lately, it feels like I'm the only one trying to hold us together." The tension in the room was palpable as Kankuro's frustration gave way to guilt. He took a deep breath, trying to compose himself. "I didn't realize it was affecting you so much. I'm sorry. I guess I'd been so focused on my duties that I forgot about us." Naruko wiped her tears away, her heart aching. "It's not just about your duties. It's about us finding a balance, supporting each other through everything. I don't want to feel like a burden or an afterthought." Kankuro walked over to her and took her hand gently. "You're not a burden, Naruko. You're my everything. I've been so caught up in trying to protect and provide for us that I forgot to take care of what truly matters, our relationship." Naruko looked up at him, her eyes reflecting both sadness and hope. "We need to talk about this more, to work through our issues together. I don't want us to drift apart." Kankuro nodded, his eyes filled with determination. "You're right. We need to make time for each other, to communicate and understand each other's needs. I'll do better. I promise." With a heavy but hopeful heart, Naruko embraced Kankuro, her body trembling slightly as she held him close. The warmth of their embrace was a comforting reminder of the love they shared, despite the difficulties they faced. Later that day, Naruko and Kankuro decided to spend some quality time together. Away from the pressures of their roles. They took a stroll through the village, reminiscing about their early days together and sharing stories of their experiences. The familiar surroundings and shared memories helped bridge the gap that had grown between them. As they walked hand in hand, Naruko felt a renewed sense of connection with Kankuro. The conversations were filled with laughter and understanding, the tensions of earlier moments slowly dissolving. They stopped by a small cafe, where they enjoyed a simple but heartfelt meal. While they ate, they discussed their hopes and dreams for the future. Kankuro spoke of his ambitions for the village and his desire to make a positive impact. Naruko shared her own aspirations, her dreams of continuing to grow and support the community. Their conversation gradually turned to lighter topics, and they found themselves laughing and teasing each other as they used to. The joy and ease that had once characterized their relationship began to return, reminding them of the deep connection they shared. As the evening approached, Naruko and Kankuro found themselves back at the spot overlooking the village, where they had shared many intimate moments before. The setting sun cast a beautiful glow over the landscape, and the serenity of the moment was a welcome contrast to the earlier tension. Kankuro took Naruko's hand and gazed at her with a mixture of love and gratitude. "Thank you for giving us this chance to reconnect. I know we've had our struggles, but I believe in us. I believe that we can overcome anything as long as we're together." Naruko squeezed his hand gently, her eyes shining with affection. "I believe in us too. We've faced so much together, and I know we can face whatever comes next. It's about communication, understanding, and always making time for each other. Kankuro leaned in, his lips meeting Naruko's in a tender kiss. The kiss was a silent promise, a reaffirmation of their commitment to one another. As they pulled away, the warmth and love between them were evident, and the bond they shared felt stronger than ever. The evening continued with a quiet walk back to their home, where they spent the night reflecting on their journey and enjoying each other's company. The misunderstandings and tensions had not disappeared entirely, but they had taken the first steps toward healing and rebuilding their relationship. In the days that followed, Naruko and Kankuro made a concerted effort to prioritize their relationship. They scheduled regular times to talk, to share their thoughts and feelings, and to support each other in their respective roles. Their efforts were rewarded with a renewed sense of closeness and understanding. Kurama, ever the observer, noted the positive changes in their dynamic. He offered subtle advice and encouragement, helping them navigate the complexities of their relationship. His presence continued to be a guiding force, providing wisdom and insight when needed. Kankuro's leadership responsibilities remained challenging, but he approached them with a newfound perspective. He balanced his duties with his commitment to Naruko, finding ways to integrate their personal and professional lives. The puppet he had created stood as a symbol of his growth and his dedication to both his craft and his relationship. Naruko, in turn, found strength and fulfillment in her role as Kankuro's wife. She supported him through his challenges, celebrated his successes, and worked to maintain the emotional connection that had been tested but not broken. The trials they had faced brought them closer together, strengthening their bond and deepening their love. They emerged from the experience with a renewed appreciation for each other and a stronger foundation for their future. As they moved forward, Naruko and Kankuro embraced the lessons they had learned and continued to build their life together with love, understanding, and mutual respect. The trials of the heart had tested them, but they had come out stronger and more committed than ever. Chapter 12, A Promise Renewed. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows over the desert landscape surrounding Sunagakure. The village, usually bustling with activity, seemed to hold its breath in anticipation for the upcoming ceremony. Naruko and Kankuro, having faced numerous trials and tribulations, were now preparing to reaffirm their commitment to each other in a ceremony that would bind them even closer together. Naruko stood in front of a large mirror in their shared quarters, adjusting the delicate fabric of her ceremonial dress. The soft, shimmering material clung gracefully to her form, accentuating her features while maintaining an air of elegance. Her heart raced with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. This ceremony wasn't just a formality, it was a celebration of their love, a reaffirmation of the vows they had made, and a promise of a future together. Kankuro, meanwhile, was in a separate room, struggling with the intricate designs of his ceremonial attire. Despite his skill with puppets, the detailed embroidery and traditional garments were proving to be a challenge. His brother, Gaara, offered some assistance, his presence providing both practical help and emotional support. "You look sharp, Kankuro," Gaara said, adjusting the final touches on his brother's outfit. "I'm proud of you." Kankuro gave a small, appreciative smile. "Thanks, Gaara. I just hope everything goes smoothly." Gaara placed a reassuring hand on his brother's shoulder. "It will. You and Naruko have been through so much. This is just another step in your journey together." As the time for the ceremony approached, the village's central square transformed into a scene of celebration. Lanterns were strung between buildings, casting a warm, golden glow over the gathering crowd. The air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the faint notes of traditional music. Naruko and Kankuro's guests began to arrive, their presence adding to the festive atmosphere. Friends and family, including those who had supported them through their journey, filled the square. The chatter and laughter created a vibrant backdrop for the ceremony that was about to take place. Naruko and Kankuro made their way to the ceremonial platform, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The ceremony was to be conducted by an elder from the village, a respected figure who would guide them through the process of renewing their vows. As they took their places, the elder began the ceremony with words of wisdom and blessing. The crowd fell silent, the gravity of the moment settling over everyone. Naruko and Kankuro stood facing each other, their eyes locked in a gaze that conveyed 1,000 unspoken emotions. The elder spoke of the significance of the vows they were about to renew, emphasizing the importance of commitment, understanding, and love. Naruko and Kankuro listened intently, their hands clasped tightly together. Today, the elder said, we gather to celebrate the union of Naruko Uzumaki and Kankuro. Their journey together has been marked by trials and triumphs, and today they renew their promises to each other, reaffirming their love and dedication. Kankuro took a deep breath, his voice steady as he spoke his vows. Naruko, from the moment we met, you've been my strength and my inspiration. I promise to stand by your side through every challenge, to support you in your dreams, and to cherish every moment we share. You are my everything, and I vow to love you with all my heart. Naruko's eyes glistened with tears as she spoke her vows. Kankuro, you've been my rock and my guiding light. I promise to love you unconditionally, to support you through every trial, and to celebrate every joy with you. Our bond is unbreakable, and I vow to always stand by you, through thick and thin. As they exchanged their vows, the elder presented them with symbols of their commitment, 2 intricately designed rings that represented their eternal bond. Naruko and Kankuro exchanged the rings, their hands trembling slightly as they placed them on each other's fingers. With the final words of blessing from the elder, the ceremony concluded, and the crowd erupted into applause. The atmosphere was filled with joy and celebration as friends and family congratulated Naruko and Kankuro. As the festivities continued, Naruko and Kankuro found a quiet moment together. They walked hand in hand to a secluded spot overlooking the village, where they could reflect on the ceremony and their future. Kankuro took Naruko's hand and gently pulled her into an embrace. Today was perfect. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. Naruko rested her head against his chest, her voice soft and filled with emotion. It was perfect. I feel like we've taken a new step forward, and I'm excited for what the future holds. They shared a tender kiss, their love and devotion evident in the softness of the moment. The stars began to appear in the night sky, casting a gentle light over them as they stood together, their hearts full of hope and love. The evening continued with a romantic dinner, the ambience enhanced by the soft glow of candles and the warmth of their shared affection. As they enjoyed their meal, they spoke of their dreams and aspirations, their plans for the future, and the many adventures they hoped to embark on together. The night ended with a slow dance under the stars, their movements graceful and in sync. The music was a gentle backdrop to their intimate moments, and the connection they shared was palpable. As they danced, Kankuro whispered softly in Naruko's ear, no matter what challenges we face, we'll face them together. I love you more than words can express. Naruko smiled, her eyes shining with happiness. And I love you. Here's to our future and all the incredible moments we'll share. As the night drew to a close, Naruko and Kankuro made their way back to their quarters, their hearts full and their spirits lifted. The ceremony had been a beautiful reaffirmation of their love, and they looked forward to continuing their journey together with renewed strength and commitment. In the days that followed, Naruko and Kankuro continued to build on the foundation they had strengthened during the ceremony. Their bond was more resilient, their communication more open, and their love more profound. They embraced each new day with enthusiasm and joy, knowing that they were ready to face whatever the future held, side by side. Chapter 13, The Final Challenge. The winds of change swept through Sunagakure, stirring the sands that surrounded the village and adding a sense of foreboding to the otherwise serene landscape. Naruko and Kankuro had settled into a comfortable routine after their reaffirming ceremony, their bond stronger than ever. Yet, as they enjoyed their newfound peace, a new threat emerged on the horizon, one that would test their strength, unity, and love in ways they had never anticipated. The warning came in the form of a messenger who arrived breathless and distressed, delivering news of an impending invasion by a rogue faction intent on seizing control of Sunagakure. The village's defenses had been compromised, and the enemy was advancing swiftly, leaving little time for preparation. The situation was critical, and Kankuro, as one of the village's key defenders, was thrust into the heart of the crisis. Naruko and Kankuro, despite the gravity of the situation, remained resolute. Their commitment to each other and their village drove them forward, even as the threat loomed larger. They knew that this battle would not only determine the fate of Sunagakure, but also test their bond to its limits. As the day of the battle approached, the village was a hive of activity. Warriors and shinobi from all corners of the land gathered to bolster Sunagakure's defenses. Naruko, though not directly involved in the front lines, worked tirelessly to support the preparations, organizing medical teams and ensuring that the wounded would receive prompt care. Kankuro, meanwhile, prepared for battle with a grim determination. His puppets, which had become an extension of himself, were meticulously checked and readied for the upcoming fight. His resolve was unwavering, but the strain of the situation weighed heavily on him. Naruko, sensing his tension, sought to offer him both comfort and strength. In the quiet moments before the storm, Naruko approached Kankuro as he adjusted the strings on his puppets. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, her touch both soothing and reassuring. "You're ready for this," she said softly, her eyes reflecting her unwavering support. "We've faced challenges before, and we've come through stronger each time. We will get through this too." Kankuro looked up at her, his expression a mix of determination and concern. "I know. But this time it feels different. The stakes are higher, and I can't help but worry about everyone here." Naruko's gaze softened. "We'll face this together. Whatever happens, we're in this as a team. You're not alone, and neither am I." Their words of encouragement were cut short by the arrival of the enemy. The battle began with a roar as the rogue faction's forces breached the outer defenses of Sunagakure. The clash of steel and the explosion of jutsu filled the air as the two sides engaged in fierce combat. Kankuro, leading his squad with unwavering courage, maneuvered his puppets with precision, each move calculated to protect the village and its people. Naruko, amidst the chaos, worked tirelessly to tend to the wounded and provide support where it was needed most. Her heart ached with every injury she saw, but her resolve never wavered. She knew that every life saved was a victory, and she poured all her energy into her work, driven by a deep sense of duty and love for her village and her husband. The battle raged on, the enemy's forces proving to be formidable and relentless. As the hours passed, it became clear that the struggle would not be easily won. Kankuro fought valiantly, his puppets dancing through the battlefield with lethal grace, but the enemy's numbers seemed overwhelming. In the midst of the conflict, a crucial turning point emerged. Kankuro, recognizing the need for a decisive move, unleashed his most powerful puppet, one that had been specially designed for such a dire situation. The puppet, a massive and imposing creation, cut through the enemy ranks with devastating efficiency, creating an opportunity for the defenders to regroup and push back. Naruko, witnessing Kankuro's bravery and the tide of the battle turning, felt a surge of hope. She continued her work, her focus now on supporting the medical teams and ensuring that the injured were stabilized. Her heart swelled with pride for her husband's courage and determination. As the battle drew to a close, the enemy's forces were finally driven back, their advance thwarted by the combined efforts of Sunagakure's defenders. The village, though battered and scarred, had withstood the assault. The victory came at a cost, with many lives lost and numerous injuries sustained. In the aftermath of the battle, Naruko and Kankuro found each other amidst the ruins of the village. Their eyes met, and without words, they embraced, their mutual relief and exhaustion palpable. The battle had tested their limits, but it had also reaffirmed their strength and their bond. As they walked through the village, assessing the damage and offering support to their fellow villagers, they shared a quiet moment of reflection. The challenges they had faced together had only served to deepen their love and appreciation for one another. They knew that their journey was far from over, but they faced the future with renewed strength and hope. The battle had been a crucible, forging their bond into something even more resilient and enduring. As they looked to the future, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, their love and commitment unwavering. In the days following the battle, Sunagakure began the process of rebuilding and healing. The village, though scarred, emerged stronger and more united. Naruko and Kankuro continued to support their community, their love serving as a beacon of hope and resilience. Their journey had been marked by trials, but their unwavering commitment to each other and their village had seen them through. The final challenge had not only tested their strength, but had also solidified their bond. As they moved forward, they did so with the knowledge that their love was a powerful force, capable of overcoming even the greatest of obstacles. Chapter 14, A New Dawn. The first light of dawn crept over Sunagakure, casting a gentle glow over the village as it began to stir from its night's rest. The battle was over, the threat vanquished, but the remnants of the conflict lingered like shadows on the edges of the village. Naruko and Kankuro, having fought valiantly side by side, now faced the quiet aftermath of their victory. In the early morning hours, the village was a scene of recovery. Shinobi and villagers alike worked to repair the damage, their spirits buoyed by the sense of relief that came with survival. Naruko moved among them, her hands deftly aiding in the cleanup and helping to organize relief efforts. Her heart was heavy with the weight of loss, but she found solace in the resilience of her people and the support of her husband. Kankuro, though physically exhausted, shared her determination. His role as a leader in the battle had been pivotal, and now he took on the task of overseeing the reconstruction. The sight of his village beginning to heal, despite the scars it bore, filled him with a sense of hope and renewal. As the sun climbed higher, Naruko and Kankuro found a moment of respite together. They walked through the village, hand in hand, taking in the sight of their home slowly returning to its vibrant self. The bond between them, forged in the crucible of battle, was evident in every shared glance and touch. The festival that had once been a symbol of their love and unity now served as a backdrop for their renewed hope. As the preparations for the festival continued, Naruko and Kankuro decided to visit the festival grounds early. They wanted to experience the joy and celebration that had been postponed due to the recent conflict. The festival was a riot of color and sound, a testament to the village's spirit. Stalls lined the streets, offering food, crafts, and games. Laughter and music filled the air, a stark contrast to the grim atmosphere that had pervaded the village during the battle. Naruko and Kankuro reveled in the vibrant energy, their earlier tension and fatigue momentarily forgotten. They stopped at a stall selling traditional sweets, and Kankuro, with a playful grin, bought a handful of pastries for them to share. As they enjoyed the treats, Naruko looked up at him, her eyes reflecting her gratitude and affection. "We've come through so much," she said softly. "It feels good to finally be able to enjoy a moment of peace." Kankuro nodded, his gaze warm. "It does. We fought hard for this peace, and we've done it together. I couldn't have asked for a better partner." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a group of children who had been eagerly waiting for the festival's games to begin. The children's excitement was contagious, and Naruko and Kankuro joined in the festivities, their laughter mingling with that of the young ones. As the day progressed, the festival reached its climax, with a spectacular display of fireworks. The night sky was illuminated with brilliant colors, each explosion a testament to the village's resilience and the triumph of its people. Naruko and Kankuro stood together, their hands intertwined, watching the fireworks in awe. The moment was intimate and serene, a celebration of their love and the life they had built together. Kankuro's arm wrapped around Naruko, pulling her close. They shared a tender kiss, their connection deepened by the trials they had overcome. As the festival drew to a close, Naruko and Kankuro found themselves at the edge of the village, looking out over the desert landscape. The sight of the stars twinkling above, their light reflecting off the sands, was a reminder of the beauty that existed even after the darkest of times. Naruko rested her head on Kankuro's shoulder, her heart full of hope. "We've made it through the hardest part," she said softly. "I'm so proud of us." Kankuro kissed the top of her head, his voice steady and filled with conviction. "We've proven that we're stronger together. Whatever comes next, we'll face it as one." As they stood together, enveloped in the tranquility of the desert night, they knew that their journey was far from over. The challenges they had faced had only strengthened their bond, and their love had become a beacon of hope and resilience. The new dawn that rose over Sunagakure was not just the beginning of a new day, but a symbol of the promise of a future filled with possibility. Naruko and Kankuro, having weathered the storm, were ready to embrace whatever came next with the same strength and unity that had seen them through the trials. In the quiet of the desert, with the village slowly recovering and the stars shining brightly above, they shared a moment of peace and reflection. Their love, tested by adversity, was now a source of inspiration and strength, guiding them as they looked to the future. As the sun rose higher, bringing warmth and light to the world, Naruko and Kankuro knew that their journey together was just beginning. The challenges ahead would be met with the same courage and love that had carried them through their darkest moments, and their story would continue to unfold, shaped by the trials they had faced and the strength they had found in each other. Chapter 15: A Legendary Love. Sasuke, now tranquil after the chaos, basked in the gentle glow of the sunset. The village, once a battleground, had transformed into a canvas of vibrant colors as the day gave way to night. The festival grounds, lit with lanterns and adorned with decorations, were a testament to the resilience of its people and the love that had emerged victorious. Naruko and Kankuro stood at the edge of the festival grounds, their fingers intertwined, their hearts full. The battle was behind them, but the journey they had shared was still fresh in their minds. They had faced numerous challenges, from battles and misunderstandings to personal struggles, and had emerged stronger, both individually and as a couple. The festival, which had been postponed due to the recent crisis, was now in full swing. The air was filled with the sweet melodies of traditional music, the scent of delicious foods, and the laughter of children playing games. It was a celebration of life, love, and unity, and Naruko and Kankuro were at the heart of it. As they walked through the festival, they were greeted by friends, allies, and villagers who had come to celebrate. Their presence was a symbol of hope and strength, and the people of Sasuke showed their gratitude and affection in various ways. Kankuro, in his role as a leader, was a source of pride for many, while Naruko, with her unwavering support and courage, was a beloved figure. The night sky was soon illuminated by a breathtaking display of fireworks. Each burst of color was a reflection of the joy and triumph that had defined the past weeks. Naruko and Kankuro found a quiet spot away from the crowds, their eyes fixed on the spectacle above. Kankuro turned to Naruko, his expression filled with love and admiration. "We've come so far," he said, his voice gentle. "I couldn't have done it without you." Naruko smiled, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. "And I couldn't have done it without you. We've faced so much together, and it's made us stronger." Their conversation was interrupted by the sight of the final, most spectacular firework, a golden shower of sparks that cascaded across the sky. It was a perfect reflection of their journey, dazzling, intense, and ultimately triumphant. As the fireworks display ended, Kankuro took Naruko's hand and led her to a secluded garden nearby. The garden, illuminated by soft, ambient lights, was a serene escape from the festivities. It was here, amidst the blooming flowers and gently rustling leaves, that Kankuro had planned a special surprise for Naruko. He had arranged a private dinner, complete with her favorite dishes and a beautifully set table under the stars. The scene was intimate and romantic, a stark contrast to the lively festival, but equally filled with love. Kankuro pulled out a chair for Naruko, his gestures tender and considerate. "I wanted us to have a moment alone, to really celebrate everything we've achieved and look forward to our future." Naruko sat down, her heart swelling with emotion. The dinner was perfect, each dish carefully chosen to reflect their journey together and the new beginnings they were embracing. As they enjoyed their meal, Kankuro took a deep breath. His eyes meeting Naruko's with a mixture of determination and tenderness. "Naruko," he began, "I've been thinking a lot about what comes next. We've built something incredible together, and I want to continue building it with you." Naruko's eyes widened, her heart racing with anticipation. "What are you saying?" Kankuro reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, elegantly wrapped box. He opened it to reveal a beautiful ring, its design intricate and symbolic of their shared journey. "I want us to always remember this moment, this victory, and the love that has carried us through. Will you marry me again, and continue this journey with me?" Tears welled in Naruko's eyes as she took in the heartfelt gesture. She reached out, her fingers trembling slightly as she accepted the ring. "Yes, Kankuro." I'll marry you again, and I'll be with you through every challenge and triumph. They embraced, their love evident in every touch and kiss. The garden, bathed in the soft glow of the lights, became a sanctuary for their renewed vows and deepened commitment. Their promises were made under the stars, their hearts beating as one in a moment of pure, unfiltered joy. As the night wore on, Naruko and Kankuro danced together, their movements a reflection of their love and unity. The music was soft and melodic, a perfect accompaniment to their intimate celebration. They shared whispered promises, their hearts entwined in a dance of love and devotion. The festival continued in the village, but for Naruko and Kankuro, the night was a personal celebration of their love and achievements. They had faced adversity and emerged stronger, their bond unbreakable and their love enduring. As dawn approached, the first light of a new day began to filter through the garden. Naruko and Kankuro sat together, their hands clasped, looking out over the village they had fought to protect. The future was bright and filled with promise, and they were ready to face it together. Their love story was a testament to the strength of their bond and the resilience of their spirits. They had faced trials and emerged victorious, their love shining brightly as a beacon of hope and inspiration. As the sun rose, Naruko and Kankuro knew that their journey was far from over. They had built a foundation of love and strength that would support them through whatever challenges lay ahead. Their story was one of triumph, resilience, and an enduring love that would continue to grow and flourish. The chapter concluded with a final, romantic moment as Naruko and Kankuro shared a tender kiss, their hearts full of hope and their love as strong as ever. Their journey together had just begun, and they were ready to embrace the future with open hearts and unwavering determination. That's the end of the story. Thank you for listening to my story to the end.